I call this one The Power of Prayer. This afternoon I played for you the left-hand piece by Rachmaninoff's great contemporary, Scriabin. I thought it would be nice to do something by Scriabin's great contemporary, Rachmaninoff. Until recently, it was traditional in Jewish households to teach little kids a 3-word bedtime prayer. And this is taken from the book of Genesis. At the end of Genesis, our progenitor, Jacob, whose name is now Israel, blesses the 12 sons, the 12 eponymous tribes of Israel. And among the blessings are 3 Hebrew words: Lishuatcha, in your salvation; Kiviti, I hope; Adonai, O Lord. So little Jewish kids have traditionally been taught these 3 words, 1, 2, 3, and then they're permuted words 3, 2, 1, and then permuted again words 3, 1, 2. Lishuatcha, Kiviti, Adonai. In your salvation do I hope, O Lord. I hope, O Lord, in your salvation. O Lord, in your salvation do I hope. Again 3 times, and again 3 times. And the theory of the thing is the kid will then jump into bed and fall right asleep. The point is, repetition calms the mind and allows one to fall asleep. I'm telling you that for the following reason. When Rachmaninoff finished his conservatory studies in Russia, there were already people who were pointing at him and saying, "This is the great hope of Russian music in the next generation. He will receive the mantle from Tchaikovsky." No small amount of pressure on a young conservatory graduate. Rachmaninoff's First Symphony had already been premiered, and the critics trashed it. Now, you might think, who cares what the critics say? He's Rachmaninoff. But maybe he didn't know that yet. He was hurt to the quick. He pulled the symphony, and I don't think it was ever performed again in his lifetime. And then ditto with his first piano concerto. He now had a commission for a second piano concerto, and he was blocked. I mean, totally blocked. He was in despair, practically suicidal. So he went to see one Dr. Dahl, not D-O-L-L, Dr. Dahl, D-A-H-L. Freud had not yet made his mark in Russia, but there were certainly perceptive and talented psychologists at work. And Dr. Dahl practiced what we would probably call here in California today hypnotherapy, because we know what happened at those sessions when this depressed, despondent, blocked young composer came into Dr. Dahl's office. And the reason we know is that Rachmaninoff wrote about this in midlife. You have this not from me, but from him. Here's what he tells us. I walked into Dr. Dahl's office, and I sat down in an armchair across from Dr. Dahl. And the whole session consisted of his repeating 3 sentences over and over again. Without changing the tone of his voice, he repeated the same 3 sentences over and over again, while I, this is Rachmaninoff, sat in the armchair opposite him and dozed. Okay? Dozed. What were the 3 sentences, you're probably wondering? I wish I could tell you. Actually, I can tell you, because we have it from Rachmaninoff himself. He shared this with us. And here's what Dr. Dahl said to him endlessly for all those sessions during this cold, dreary Russian winter. You are going to compose your piano concerto. You will work with great facility. The music will be of an excellent quality, over and over again for the whole session, never varying, while Rachmaninoff fell asleep from the repetitions, letting the thought enter his mind. Next session, the same thing. Next session, the same thing. Next session, the same thing. Always the same, wrote Rachmaninoff, never varying. At the end of this whole treatment, Rachmaninoff went home, sat down, and began sketching out a slow movement for piano and orchestra, which turned out to be the second movement of the second piano concerto somewhere this afternoon, if not in California, somewhere on planet Earth. Some pianist is sitting down in front of some symphonic orchestra somewhere on this planet right now and playing the second piano concerto of Rachmaninoff. You can be sure of it. Rachmaninoff wrote in his memoirs, surprisingly, this treatment really worked for me. Well, I'm a rabbi. People come and talk to me all the time, not because of anything that I might be, but because I have the title rabbi in front of my name. And that does things to the way people are prepared to share things with their rabbi. I'm not surprised. I have a congregant back in Brooklyn who's a scientist. I was getting ready to do Kiddush after services on Friday evening with a cup of wine in my hand, and he came over and he said, trying to get my goat, I guess, Rabbi, do you know that quadrillions of neutrinos are passing through that Kiddush cup right now? I've lived a varied life. He didn't know. Among the things I've done, for 2 years, I studied math physics at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. I know that quadrillions of neutrinos are passing through all of us every nanosecond. So I put down the Kiddush cup. I thought, this can wait for 1 second. And I said to him, if you can believe, as a scientist, that quadrillions of neutrinos from interstellar space are passing through us right now, every second, what is so hard about believing that God's chen, grace, and God's chesed, loving kindness, and God's rachamim, God's compassion, is raining down on us every second? All we have to do, as the Rambam told us 800 years ago, is to clear our heads of all of that stuff and let God's presence enter our mind. Now, Dr. Dahl is not here to discuss this with us, and I don't even know if he was a religious person, but he was clearly a man of tremendous insight. He understood, as that great Jewish philosopher of the 20th century, Pogo, taught us, we have met the enemy, and they is us. All we have to do is get out of the way. I would say, as clergy, that God's grace is raining down upon us. We have only to open ourselves to this great blessing. But a secular psychologist would probably put it in the opposite way, that creativity in all of us exists below the limit of consciousness, and all we have to do is stop blocking and let it spring up into our conscious mind. But the point is, whether you take the image of grace descending upon us or creativity welling up inside us, the main trick is to get out of the way. So, to illustrate this, the appropriate thing would be to sit down and play the first movement of the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto. But when I pulled up in the parking lot here, I didn't see the symphony orchestra bus unloading. The first movement of the Rachmaninoff Second Concerto, as you know, since it's the most popular concerto, starts with these deep, rich, bell-like sonorities. Only Rachmaninoff could get that kind of sound out of the piano. It is one of his trademarks. The piano as deep Russian church bells. Fortunately, since we have that sonority in a lot of his music, it also occurs in the solo piano music. And so I will play for you the C-sharp minor prelude, justly famous, because it has that same rich, bell-like sonority that only Rachmaninoff could get out of the instrument. You are going to compose your piano concerto, whatever that piano concerto is in your life. You will work with great facility. The music will be of an excellent quality. As we teach our children, Nishuatcha kiviti Adonai, in your salvation do I hope, O Lord. So all Rachmaninoff had to do, given that God had graced him with this tremendous gift, was to open his hands and to let all of those quarter notes and eighth notes and half notes and whole notes fill up his palms. Then all he had to do was go to the keyboard, turn his hands upside down, and let all of those notes spill out onto the keyboard.